Now, I'll tell you what, from my experience in being investigated federally and by the state in conjunction with the feds, I have discovered a lot. I'm not one of those people that necessarily just scream out gang stalking, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. There's validity to what's going on there. And I can tell you right now that amongst these groups that you've heard me talk about in previous videos, such as the Oath Keepers and the militias and stuff like that, or the deep states operating underneath them, there's validity to it. I have literally seen where cops are using family members in this version of stalking. And they're getting reimbursements, they're getting all kinds of different things. And what's happened is it's gone into an abusive measure. See, there's no oversight over this. And what this allows is psychological manipulation and coercion of the target. And it's to build a reaction, and it's hard to prove because psychological abuse don't really carry no bruises physically. However, it does show in their action. And then, of course, there's this pattern of abuse. Now, let's go into the conspiracy theory thing. You know, the reason why people have the buzzword of conspiracy theory used against them is invalidation. It's a buzzword that's been used to run people down. However, that conspiracy is built off patterns. The same patterns that they'd use in a judicial court to establish, conviction. So where you would use that conspiracy theory, and as a civilian, or the pattern recognition of what's going on, and build a result of actually what's happening as a civilian, it's not just or allowed. You will be discredited for your mental health. However, in the world of courts, they will absolutely use a pattern without evidence and or just multiple testimonies, and they will build a conspiracy pattern. This is where you understand you understand that it's all psychological warfare that's happening within these courts. And the federal government, today's federal government, is absolutely using and abusing a lot of laws and doctrines out there that violate the Constitution. Mental, or psychological warfare is the federal government's number one key. And this can look very, very covert to the untrained eye. For instance, what's been used against me is one of my stepchildren. They'd go to their parents' house. Their parent would bleed them of all kinds of information, and then program them and coerce them to believe bad about their mother and I, and do all these things, and then get them to bring back information, rendering our house unsafe. Now, while I was in the midst of trauma from all this stuff, that makes your home feel unsafe. It raises anxiety, and they do this intentionally to trigger you. So you might turn around and look at this child and say, "Stop doing this, please," or all these other things, and kind of lash a little bit because of the anxiety being so strong. But they're intentionally manipulating that in you. They're trying to bring that out in you so that they can use that in case. This is psychological warfare. This is mental and emotional abuse. Not only of you, but of that child, because they're pitting that child. It's a cause and effect kind of thing. You don't bleed children for information about their parent. You let your child know that if there's something going wrong, that you're a safe place to come talk to. But even for us, I had, always defended this child's parent, and told them, and even to this day, I still do. However, that parent is using opportunity. See, he wants revenge against mom. He wants custody of the kids, and he's connected with a Hoffman family and the Reichert family here in Shiawassee County, Michigan, that works with these Oath Keepers. Now, I claimed stolen valor. Now, I only said it. I only said I was. And that was a part of my childhood that was based on the same thing this child went through. You know, this child that's being coerced and, you know, all that stuff. And this child, you know, doesn't have an anchor, just like I didn't. This child is raised in a way on that other side where there's no boundaries. There's no guidance. There's no anchoring. There's no grounding to truth. There's no none of that stuff. Just absolute manipulation and validation. Well, we can't validate everything in a child. We have to have guidance. We have to teach them wrong from right. We have to do all that stuff. But in the court of law nowadays, they don't want you speaking anything. Leave that for their medical system. Leave that for this. Let that money generate in their system. Your rights as a parent has been overridden to teach your child the right and wrong. Systematic corruption is what this all boils down to. Deep, strong, systematic corruption from both sides. It's crazy. Because right now what you're seeing is mom and dad and the government fighting back and forth against each other for the same corruption that they've both committed. The question is which bully gets to speak it out first and carry the narrative? Because that's what happens in the court of law. When my case goes to light up, you will find out that they're going to set this narrative that Ken was just this bad guy. And they're going to use actions in a past history, you know, that was a result of mental and emotional abuse towards myself, making me an easy target. And a lot of people in society like yourselves that don't understand how mental and emotional abuse actually operates, you're going to fall for it hook, line, and sinker. When truth is, these people remove almost every right that you have. I've gone to work for places where it was absolutely unsafe and or I was not allowed to work because they got me fired. My right to live. My right to do all those things. I had a boss that his wife was connected to DHHS. He made my work situation very, very, very uncomfortable. I had to look at him and say, hey, am I doing okay? Because this guy was hovering over my shoulder. Now that makes it look like underneath the narcissistic template that I'm looking for validation. But meanwhile, I'm picking up that this guy's over my shoulder for some reason. Why? So this is where even your judicial system will manipulate your intent. And when they go to broadcast this to everybody, especially with this new strong buzzword of narcissism, guess what they did? What society does? They fall for it. They're believing it. Meanwhile, it was them attacking me and then them recording the result. God bless.